Is that walk-up song because this is designed to protect some of the oldies acts and other recording groups that are being ripped off by imitators that are using deceptive advertising to appropriate their name and act as if they were the TAMs when they're really not the TAMs and don't have the TAMs permission to be playing their music or performing as the TAMs. This is accomplished by amending the Fair Business Practices Act to make it an unfair business practice to use deceptive advertising or performances by musical performance groups where they are stealing the work or misappropriating the work of a recording group. The recording group would be one that has actually recorded music and they have a service mark or trademark for their band's name, and they have copyrights on the music that they have written and produced. So what this does is prevent any performing group, one or more people, from either advertising or performing and appearing under the name of a recording group or a substantially similar name. So if you want to rip off the Beatles, you can't just misspell it Beatles and or do anything that's close to similar to their name. And you can't play their music unless you have the express authorization of that recording group. So certainly if they give you permission to play their work or you pay for the rights to do that, you're allowed to, or at least one member of the group is an authorized user of their service mark and their copyrights, or was in the original group, thereby giving them the permission or the ability to play their own music. So if you don't have at least one person that was really in the TAMs as this intro song, or have their written permission, you can't go out now and advertise that the TAMs are going to do a performance or perform under that name or a similar name, because you're ripping them off of their proprietary rights there to their music. Now, this is important in Georgia. Of course, I'm from Athens, and that music scene's gigantic there, especially live performances. And it's become very important that the state of Georgia is a great base now for production of music, and this protects our artists who are recording artists from being ripped off. There is an exception if you are a tribute group where you make it clear that you are doing a tribute to the Beatles or to the Rolling Stones or whoever and playing their music, because you're not falsely claiming that you are the Rolling Stones or the Beatles, whoever. You're doing a performance of their music to pay tribute to them, whatever. That is expressly permitted under this act. So if you violate these provisions and you're trying to rip off other artists without their permission or have at least one member of that group in your group, then you're in violation of the Fair Business Practices Act and can be sued to enjoin you from continuing that and for monetary damages if they demonstrate that they have been harmed by your use of their name and playing of their music. So with that, Mr. Chairman, it's very concise, and I think it's widely supported. I'm happy to answer any questions that we may have.
Absolutely.
Representative Lee Hawkins is agreed to sponsor in the House. This passed your committee or Chairman Dollar's committee. He was not quite as entertaining as you are. Well, last year we passed, I think, unanimously in this committee, but it's too late in the session, didn't get through rules to get on the floor.
Was Chairman Hawkins carrying it last year too?
He was, but
it very well could have been that, right? It could have. I'm
well.
sorry, Chairman Hawkins. I'm sorry. Yeah, we do have a few questions real quick. We're going to go number 18.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Senator, I've just got a question about royalties. You talked about tribute groups. Do they pay royalties? Are they responsible? Is there any method of guaranteeing that the royalties are paid?
They are obligated to pay. Whether they do or not is another question, but they should. And I can't remember. I think it's ASCAP is the name of the organization that collects royalties for groups. But yeah, anytime you're playing somebody else's music, you owe them a royalty for doing that.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Sure.
Representative Saints.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Senator, when you noted that the exemption if a member was in the recording group, if they're in the performing group, that they're still able to perform. I believe that's line 38.
37 through 39, right?
okay.
You're
Yes,
dead
sir.
on it.
Yeah, so on line 38, the recording group has the legal right to use or operate under the name of, if they have the legal right. So is it standard? I'm not familiar with this field. Is it standard for each member of the performing group to have a legal right? Each member of the recording group to have the legal right to perform?
That would be standard. They
Okay.
usually would, but we're seeing a lot of things now where, let's say a group breaks up, sometimes they will buy out the departing member,
Okay.
or they'll make it clear that they're surrendering the rights to play that music, that the copyright is held by, another entity or the remaining members of the group. That would be defined in written sort of breakup separation agreement of a band. Otherwise, without anything in writing, if you're one of the creators of the art, then you have the right to play your own music.
Thank you for the clarification.
And one more, Leader Bonner.
Thank you. Hey, Senator, what exactly is talks about the violations? What exactly is the penalty for this?
A couple of different things under the Fair Business Practices Act. One, and there are, of course, a number of other unfair business practices. You can get an injunction from a court to prohibit them from continuing the infringement. You may also receive monetary damages if you can show how you've been damaged. And I can imagine, like in a performance, if somebody did do a performance, claim they were the TAMs, well, then the damages would be the amount of money they earned from misappropriating the use of that name.
And I'm assuming that this legislation would assist in pursuing those damages, those monetary damages.
That's the mechanism. You can see there on line 12 where it cites the section we're going in.
Okay.
That point 16 is just adding this as the 16th different type of unfair business practice act. Just like all the other unfair practices, it puts you in there. You can use the procedures of that act and
Right.
to seek damages under it.
And does this include owners of rights in terms of if you're not a performer, but you own the rights to said catalog of music? Is that
Yes.
okay?
All right. Last one, Representative Fry, that may know a little bit more about music than the rest of us. 1 second.
Is that you or me?
How about that? Are you live, Dukes?
Yes,
Dukes?
I
All right,
am.
perfect. Thank
Thank you, Senator. Thank you for bringing this legislation. One question you mentioned is that they would have to get permission from the group in order to use their music. How do you go about doing that? I'm just curious.
Well, you would contact them through their, registered agent, their manager, whoever holds their music catalog. Sometimes it might be they might have sold the music or whatever to a label or something like that. You would contact them and ask permission and ask how much it cost.
I
They
was hoping
negotiate that. Yeah,
I was hoping that we would be able to go through you, and for that you could get a fee.
that would be wonderful. That'd be wonderful.
All right. Thank you very much, Senator. We have one person online wanting to speak to this bill, Rafael Fernandez Jr. We're going to get you teed up and let you do hopefully we'll get a vote taken.
Excellent. Can you all hear me? Hello? Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Oh, awesome. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, committee members. It's a great pleasure to be here virtually with you. And thank you for allowing me to address this important issue for the music industry here in Georgia. I'm Ralph Fernandez, as you said. I represent the Recording Industry Association of America as head of their public policy. The RIA is a trade group that supports and promotes the creative and financial vitality of the major music companies. Nearly 85% of all the legitimate music recorded and produced and sold in the United States is created, manufactured, or distributed by one of our members. Now in Georgia, with celebrities such as Ray Charles, Outkast, Alan Jackson, Otis Redding, Gladys Knight, Trisha Yearwood, and REM coming from the state, it's easy to understand why Georgia's place in the music ecosystem is important to us. In Georgia, the music industry contributed contributed over $2.5 billion to your GDP, supported over 45,000 jobs, 9,600 music businesses, and over 9,100 songwriters. These are jobs, businesses, and people greatly affected by COVID over the last 23 months. For the RA, it is very important for everyone in the music ecosystem to grow and flourish. And that is why it's even more important to us to support this the Truth in Music Advertising Act, or TIMA as we know it. This TIMA bill was dedicated to Mary Wilson, founding member of the Supremes, who passed away in 2021. Mary was an avid supporter of this bill and was very instrumental in its early success around the country. You may not know this, but Georgia is only one of 17 states that does not have a TIMA type law. With a great many legacy artists from Georgia and others visiting, it is a great way to protect them and consumers from those pretending to be the original act. Sam Moore, from I'm a Soul Man fame, legacy artist born in Georgia, and a Georgia Music Hall of Fame inductee, has been prey to imposter bills. After a lifetime of building their legacies, these individuals deserve the ability to make a living from their creativity and hard work. We ask for you to support the passing of the Truth in Music Advertising Act. Thank you for letting me speak a few minutes today.
Absolutely. We appreciate you guys. It doesn't show that we have any questions for you, but we appreciate you being here representing the industry. Obviously, we know how important music is to Georgians, and it's really kind of a way of life for me as a Georgian. So I appreciate you very much. And at this time, I would take a motion. So move. Second. All in favor, say aye. Opposed? On you go. Thank you very much. Appreciate it, Senator. Yep. All right. Do we see Chairman Stevens in the? Oh, he's hiding back there. Okay. All right. Ellie, you ready? All right. Okie dokie, folks. Having fun yet? Thinking about it? It's a pretty important measure here coming up before you. House Bill 1053. Chairman Stevens, if you'll enlighten us, that'd be great.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, ladies and gentlemen of the committee. Glad to be with you this morning. And yeah, the Georgia Bulldogs are the champions. The Braves are the champions. And I would like to take just a moment to tell you how the film has been a champion. And as I look around the room, and reminiscing back just a little bit about the film tax credit bill, and this is not the film tax credit bill, but it came later, and I'll tell you why in just a minute. 2008, as some of you might recall, Representative Nix and Duke, Smith, Chokas, and I'm not sure if Representative Fry was here or not. In 2008, he was not. Came in just a little later. We had 2 days of operating capital, as y'all might remember. It was very, very tough. And my job was very simple. I had to go convince the governor and the General Assembly that we ought to get in the film business. Whenever banks were going out of business, as you might recall, the contractors had no houses to build. It was a very tough time, and we cut our budget. And I was successful in convincing enough folks that if we invested, it might turn out to be a pretty good thing, because all the business was in California, New York, Texas, and Vancouver, some of the other places. It's turned out to be a multi-billion-dollar industry. The films are being made in your own neighborhoods today, and it's been a success beyond our wildest dreams. And even more important is the folks, your kids and grandkids, had an opportunity now, if they intended to go into business, and I can see the chairman is auditioning today. If they were going to go into business, they had no other options but to, they might learn the trade here, but they got to move out of state. Well, that's not the case today. If you go to SCAD, if you go to Georgia Tech and the right brain, left brain kind of thing, and if you do some of the colleges in your local areas, even the Film Academy, which came along later, they have an opportunity to be homegrown, if you will. And the movies that we make here, just to reminisce just a little bit, the very industries in some of your neighborhoods, whitewater rafting was created as a result of one movie, Deliverance, back in 1974. Covington, for those of you that the folks at the CVB there told me that 75% of all the tourism they get in Covington, Georgia, for people wanting to come see where the Dukes of Hazzard was made and the Heat of the Night and on and on. And of course, I live in Savannah. Everybody knows about the Forrest Gump Bench. And these are the kinds of things that have created a tourism explosion in Georgia, not because of tourism itself, but because of the film industry and people wanting to come be a part and see what was, and even the things that are going on currently, which brings me to this bill. Again, this is not the Film Development Act. In 2017, Governor Deal believed that at that time we were ready to take another step. We had people that had invested largely in studios. In 2008, we had no studios. We asked people to come make a film, essentially, and bring your employees with you and all the people from somewhere to make the film. And we'll give you a tax incentive, and then you just go back home. Now we're homegrown. We're training our own. And after the film is made is what this particular bill 1053 is all about. 1053 only does one thing. It extends a tax credit or the sunset, if you will, for another 5 years that's expiring this year, and it's on the post-production. And if I might add, that's where really the dollars for big jobs are, is on these technical jobs for post-production. After the film is made, they if they have employees here and they continue to generate these high-paying jobs, most of them well above $100,000 a year, then of course it keeps the whole industry, if you will, sync here in Georgia. So it only extends the sunset, which expires at the end of this year, to 2028. It has a $10 million cap. To qualify, the company must have a payroll in excess of $250,000 and incur at least $500,000 of expenses to be qualified for this credit. 20% of the qualified expenditures are deductible, and the credit's taken against income tax or withholdings, which is a big deal for these folks with the withholding piece. It does have a $10 million overall cap with a 10 mil, and this is a big deal as well. We wanted to make sure we've got some companies that could have just eaten the whole cap up right away. So we limit that to a $2 million cap per company to make sure that other people can participate. And there's an additional 10% uplift for filming productions that occur in some of our smaller counties in a tier 1 and tier 2 area of Georgia. And essentially what all this does is keep everything the same. We're going to extend the sunset. And Mr. Chairman, I'll take any questions if there are any, even though I don't have the bill. All I've got my talking points, but it's essentially all we're doing is extending the sunset for 5 years on an extremely productive and very successful piece of the entire picture of film tax credits. We're going to get you a copy of that bill there, Chairman.
All right. I think we have a question out of Representative Dukes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This has really been a very successful piece of endeavor that we all started. I think, actually we started out in like 2003. And the difference an election makes, because I think Chairman Richardson became the speaker and he has had the wisdom to make you the chairman. But we continued on in the same spirit, and it has been great. It has been a great venture for our state, and it's been a great ride. I think what you're doing is just, we had a sunset, now it's time to move it forward to what it is that we're doing. I think it's great legislation, and I appreciate everything that you've done and our committee to make Georgia Listen, we're the Hollywood of the South.
That we
And
are.
I remember when I came here, we were making the Dukes of Hazzard. Now we are making everything. If you look at the television and anything that has anything, the specialty, you're going to see the Georgia peach. And a lot of that has to do with the work that this legislature put together and your vision. I want to thank you for your leadership. And at the proper time, Mr. Chairman, I'd like to be recognized for a motion.
All right, we got a good minute here, but yeah, we're gonna hear from Representative Gilliard.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. If I were in the Georgia House of Representatives, I would say parliamentary inquiry, and I'd ask you where you got that wig from. Representative Choker says it's not a wig, but it's a hairdo. But Mr. Chairman, if I may, thank you so much for bringing light and enthusiasm to this great meeting. To my dean and chairman and mentor, Ron Stevens, thank you for what you've done for the film industry. Just last week, Ron, through Beth Nelson and the Film Commission, we got a call about casting for the sequel to Halloween. And in one day, we had over 300 people that came to the Empowerment Center to cast from all over the country. So that helped our economy. That got some people paid, and their aspirations were furthered. As a filmmaker myself, this type of legislation inspires me to continue my task of focusing on documentary. So I want to thank you, and on and forward, and greater things for Georgia.
Thank you, sir.
All right, we've got a lot of folks here to speak on this bill, so we're going to go down in order here. I believe we have Lewis Massey. If you want to step up to the podium, I don't have walk-up music for you, but it start getting complicated, and I'd have to hire a DJ. So we're just going to let y'all.
Chairman Carpenter, members of the committee, thank you for the opportunity to come up for a few minutes. First of all, I want to thank Ron Stevens. I thought his music was very appropriate because he has been a great champion for the music industry. And as Representative Duke said, all y'all have been very supportive of the film industry, and we greatly appreciate it. I'm here today on behalf of the Georgia Production Partnership, which is a grassroots organization of people all over the state. And with me is Craig Miller, who is former president of GPP and currently chairman of the Government Relations Committee. Craig has been in the business of filmmaking and producing for over 35 years, and he's worked all over the state. He's a UGA guy. Sorry, Mr. Chairman, we didn't get invited to your box for the national championship game, but maybe next time. But that's true. But I wanted to introduce Craig and let him say a few words. We're very supportive of this bill. It's great to continue the success of the ecosystem that involves the post-production part of all this, and we appreciate your consideration. So I'll let Craig speak.
Thank you, Lewis. Mr. Chairman and committee, we are very enthusiastic about seeing the post-production bill continued, and it has created lots of jobs for lots of Georgians, and it will continue to bring, because this particular bill allows people that shoot movies in other states to bring their post-production here to Georgia to get worked on. So it's a very aggressive bill. There are no other bills like this that are being offered around the country. And it's one that we're very proud of and has continued to grow the business so that the people that are producing those bits of entertainment that you are seeing all over screens all over the world, that they are post-producing these projects here in Georgia. Thank you, sir.
Absolutely. Just one quick question for you.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of familiar with this piece because I remember hearing it, but before this was introduced, a lot of the stuff was filmed here and then sent to other states to be fit for post-production. And this has allowed them to keep that in-house in the state of Georgia. Is that correct?
That's true.
Okay. Thank you very much. Thanks for being here today. All right. We have virtual Mr. Billy, Company 3. Are you ready to roll?
Yes, I am. Thank you very much, Chairman Carpenter. It's great to be here. I've had the pleasure of addressing this committee in the past. And, I think the previous speakers have hit on a bunch of topics that are quite interesting. The film tax credit's been successful in a wildly unimaginable way. The next step in the industry really is to sort of flesh out the rest of the ecosystem, and one major big portion of that is post-production. So this bill, which passed in 2018, for example, the company that I operate here in the state of Georgia saw a 30% increase, and then yet again in 2019, a 30% increase in our business. Now, of course, 2020 is a whole different story, but 21 was a massive rebound. And what also has happened in that time is that we've learned how to work remotely. And so in the past, where some people might have said that you wouldn't see post-production grow on a significant scale in a state like Georgia because the decision makers are elsewhere. This whole new world that's been opened up and unlocked has really connected and shown that we can do this work anywhere. And so I can speak for my company itself, and that we are positioning ourselves to aggressively move work that would normally happen in other states that don't have tax advantages or other cost advantages or other access to talent that want to live in a state that is got a much better quality of life than some of the other states that have historically been the center of this work. So I think it's super critical for our business to grow, to see the certainty that this extension would offer. And so I look forward to continuing to grow in the state of Georgia, and I appreciate all of the support of all of you.
Fantastic. I appreciate you very much. Doesn't look like we have any questions for you, but we appreciate you for your company, and we wish you much success. And next up, Kelsey Moore. Move it on. Okay.
Moore. I'm the executive director of the Georgia Screen Entertainment Coalition. I just wanted to thank you, Chairman Stevens, for bringing this bill, and the committee for hearing it and letting me speak to you a little bit today. Looking at our lineup, I won't cover everything that you already clearly know about the sorts of jobs and the companies and the role development that this industry is bringing. But what I do want to highlight are some of the things that we're doing on the workforce front. In institutions from Dalton to Savannah, we are implementing this post-production curriculum. Starting in 2018, the Georgia Film Academy became a official training hub for Ovid, which is a post-production tool used in editing. And since then, 45 of those GFA students have moved directly into internships with the companies that are being supported by these incentives. They also have trained over 60 high school teachers who have taken that curriculum back to their home districts in 20 different districts across the state. And now they're teaching high schoolers how to get these certificates that can move them straight into jobs. And they also have a state-of-the-art studio at Trilla Studios down in Fayetteville. And so while I welcome you all to come visit that with us next week, shameless plug, they've also added a remote option. So now every student across the state has access to learning this curriculum. So we know that these are moving into high-paying jobs. We know that these are, clearly Billy is ready to hire our Georgia graduates. And so also wanted to mention Georgia Film Academy launched in 2021 and in fall across 10 different universities across the state, a collegiate program in post-production. And so the 2 semesters of that across 10 institutions, they've all been completely full and they've all have wait lists. So we have some additional institutions that are looking to add those for fall 2022. So a big, we clearly could not have done any of this without the partnership at the state level, the Georgia Film Academy. So we've got some great Georgia students ready to get to work. So I'll just leave you with that. So thank you for having me here today.
Doesn't appear we have any questions for you either, but that's great. Appreciate you being here today, Kelsey. We're going virtual. Drew Sawyer, Moonshine Post Production.
Hey there. Can I be heard? You guys got me?
We got you, Big Daddy.
Awesome. Well, thanks for having us. And thanks for y'all's support on legislation in the industry. I'm Drew. I'm founder and principal at Moonshine Post, proud member of the Georgia Studio and Infrastructure Alliance, Georgia State alumni, Georgia native from Rome, Cedartown area. Part of that homegrown phenomenon that we were talking about. Somehow turned my student news accreditations into a film and TV company here in Georgia, though now with international clients and sometimes popular work on the big and small screens. If you had told me about 12 years ago, I'd have laughed at you that I'd be working with Netflix and HBO now, and that's actually a dream that I've actually been able to fulfill. And I'm living proof that this incentive works on the Post side. I exist, and my employees exist because of it. I founded this company 8 years ago. We've doubled in size and revenue every year since. We've expanded offices twice. We're doing it again this year. It's crazy. Even when everyone seems to be leaving the office, we're doubling down. It's kind of nuts. We've put a lot of Georgians to work for full time, not just for us, but also over 100 episodes and features that have decided to stay and do their post here in Georgia. We also continue to help and train the workforce alongside Georgia State and Georgia Film Academy. Traditionally, as we discussed, as Craig had mentioned, we want to fill this out. Traditionally, Georgia has been looked at as a kind of a production-only pit stop, but this bill has made that possible and turned the light bulbs on, really, for a lot of our clients, studios, networks, to make Georgia a post destination, kind of the poster child of that as the home team. And that's really the next phase in building out this industry and capturing more revenue and cementing the foundation so that we can have a self-sustained, fully encompassed entertainment ecosystem in Georgia, providing more opportunities to Georgia. And that's what I do. Thank y'all.
I don't want to be too, I'm a numbers guy. I hate to pry too much, but could you possibly tell us like a rough estimate on revenue that your company has? I mean, you can give me a wide range. I want the committee to grasp the magnitude of these companies.
Yeah, I mean, these, anywhere from, depending on types of jobs and types of the sector, and this is tens of millions of dollars just in these small companies alone. And there's dozens of us, and all these jobs that they're high paid tech jobs.
Yep, absolutely.
That wouldn't have existed without having some incentive to actually stick around and spend more money after they've already shot the film. So there you go.
Absolutely. So just so everybody hears that, we're talking about a $10 million credit, and we're talking about probably hundreds of millions of dollars in revenue that these companies see. I think that's a 10-to-1 ratio, and anybody that's in economic development knows that's a home run, maybe even a grand slam in the bottom of the ninth. So thank you very much for being here today.
Absolutely. Thank you. And great hair.
All right, perfect. And then we've got, thanks for the hair. Yeah, my wife she's so proud of me right now, I can assure you. We're going to move on to Alex Brownlee. He's virtual as well.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and members of the committee. I'm Alex Brownlee. I'm the general manager of Picture Shop Post and also a proud member of the Georgia Studio and Infrastructure Alliance. Picture Shop Post, we now have upwards to about 35 employees spanning over 3 different facilities in the greater Atlanta area. I'm proud to be in the position to employ both experienced veterans in the industry, as well as, fresh-faced recent grads or people just, trying to get their foot in the door in the business. And we've been able to do that on both levels over the years, thanks to this wonderful incentive. I do have a unique position where I have worked for many of the post-production companies in town. And one of the strange things that's kind of been the trend over the years is for each company, the objective has been similar. It's been to transition from the model of just having a temporary workspace and, doing the work in Georgia and then leaving to, again, transitioning into a more facility-based permanent location where we keep the team in place, we keep the staff, a brick and mortar, if you will, and it's been a great personal joy for me over the years to be able to do this. And, to keep it short and sweet, I feel like this post-production tax incentive bill only opens the door to continue to do it for years to come, just advancing the technology and advancing the opportunities for, again, Georgians trying to get into the business, as well as, the experienced vets who have homes and families that they're trying to support. As I said, I'd like to keep it short and sweet. So thank you for your time.
Absolutely. And I think that's the piece that I find the most intriguing, is that you guys are setting up shop and you plan on staying because you realize Georgia's a great place to operate a business, period. And I hope that you have continued success, and we'll do everything we can to support you.
Thank you.
And we're moving on to Amanda is our final speaker today.
Hello. So thank you, Chairman Stevens, for bringing the bill, and to the committee for allowing me the opportunity to speak today. My name is Amanda Gentles. I am Senior Vice President and General Manager of Warner Media Studios. We are located right down the street in Midtown. We are part of Warner Media. We support the entire Warner Media portfolio from TBS, TNT, TCM, True TV, Cartoon Network, and Turner Sports. So we house employ a few hundred artists and craftspeople. The majority of them are in post-production. For context, we did over 350,000 hours last year in post-production alone. And I will not belabor the points of all the previous speakers who came before me, but other than to say, we have found this bill extremely successful. It's been incredibly beneficial to us. And I, again, just appreciate the opportunity to come and offer our extreme support for the bill.
We actually do have a question for you.
All righty.
24, Representative Seaball.
Hey, everybody, I'm Devin Seaball. I'm new to this committee and new to the legislature, but I'm excited to be here. Amanda, how many post-production studios are currently in Georgia?
I don't have the answer to
Anybody
that.
have that answer?
No.
The reason I ask is we are capping this at $10 million with $2 million per studio. We don't know how many studios we have, so I'm just wondering, have we reached that cap in the past 5 years? Yes. So how do we make that equitable if there's 18 studios? How do we? Okay, that was just a question. Thank you, Amanda.
Sure.
And Mr. Chairman, I have one more question.
Yeah,
I want to thank you, Chairman Stevens. This has been great. My son is a performing artist and an actor. So this is near and dear to my heart, and I appreciate you bringing as much as we can into Georgia. But the post-production work that are getting these tax breaks, that is companies that are doing that here in Georgia only, correct? Yeah, okay. All right, thank you.
Yeah, let me get you set up one second. Let me turn that one off, turn that one off, turn you up. All right, go ahead.
There you go. Thank you. And that's for employees here in Georgia as well. Keeping that in mind, that's the key.
Okay, I think that's everybody we have speaking. I think we're in the posture of a motion. All right, we got a first, got a second. All right. All in favor?
Aye.
There you go. That's awesome when it comes in later, really accentuates it. Anybody, any nays today? No, unanimous. All right, we head on to rules. Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Chairman. Appreciate you.
Thank you, committee members, for keeping Georgia jobs in Georgia.
And with that, that's the end of this meeting. Thank you for coming out. Hopefully I'll get a haircut before the next one.